Hey everybody, I am outside the Hot Comics location in Minneapolis, I want to say. If we're not in Minneapolis, we're right on the border. They have 3 different locations, and all Black Friday weekend or Thanksgiving weekend long, they are doing some amazing sales. Half off just about everything in the store, but all of their non-wall back issues is the real reason I'm here, because everything in those bins today is just $1 a piece. So I am going to do some serious diving. Let's head on in and see what we can find.
He's that much of a fan. He was like, oh, this is great. I wanted.
It's gonna be good. Always Marvel. All right, everybody, I just finished up a good hour to 2 hours of digging through their long boxes. I tried to make it a pretty efficient time because I would like to stop at least one other store today if I can. Here is my bag of goodies. Came away with $50 books, so we'll be heading home shortly here, and at some point you're going to get to see all these goodies. Let's take a look. Hey everyone, and welcome to today's video. The books I'm going to show you today come from one of the coolest sales I've been to in a long time. There were a ton of sales to choose from over the Thanksgiving Day weekend, but we had people staying with us in town, and so I couldn't just disappear for the weekend to go to a bunch of sales. So I had to choose one or two to visit, and I think you'll agree I chose very wisely. In this case, I chose to go to Hot Comics and Collectibles. They have 3 locations across the Twin Cities, one in Minneapolis, one in Richfield, and one in Jordan. And all 3 of their locations were having this same sale. First of all, they were doing half off everything in the store, which is great, especially if you're looking for more expensive items. For me, I was focused on their back issue bins because they were selling all of their back issue inventory for just $1 a piece. And that's regardless of what the price tag says. And you're going to see some price tags in this haul that get well over $10 on a book. And so to get all and any of these books for just $1 a piece was great for me. And it was a great way to get more than just your typical dollar bin fare. And I made some great progress on some runs, got everything from modern age all the way back to bronze. In one of these hauls, you're even going to dip back into the silver age a little bit, but really excited to show you all of the books that I got over the course of this Thanksgiving Day weekend at a couple of their locations. I will put a link to Hot Comics and Collectibles, their website and social media presence down below in the description in case you're in the area and you want to check them out. But now let's go ahead and get to this haul. All right, we're going to get things started with this Transformers book that I was ecstatic to find. This is Transformers Salvation. And to give you a little bit of context of where this fits into the continuity, part of the IDW era, this is a square-bound book, and I'm going to take it out here because I know there's a bit of a glare because of the angle on the bag there. But this is the book here, square bound, like I said. It has $7.99 cover price. I did not get this when it first came out and really hoped that I'd be able to find it in the dollar bins at some point, because with a lot of those Transformers books, I've been successful in finding some of the others. For example, this is actually the third part of a trilogy of stories that started with this book here, Transformers Punishment, another square bound, $7.99, I guess was probably the cover price in that one. And then it followed up with Redemption. And so the third part was Salvation, and I have been missing it for years. I've only ever seen it in the wild once, and it was at a store that didn't have prices on their back issues. You had to bring the books up to the counter and ask them for the pricing, and I'm not into doing that, and so I let that one pass. And now at this sale, I was able to come across a copy for the second time and jumped all over that. They had the price sticker on here at $8, so essentially cover price, which, would have been a decent price had I bought it back when it came out, but now I got it for just $1. So great because it's Transformers, great because it helps me to complete this little trilogy of stories, and I absolutely love this cover. This is the variant cover. I don't know how to pronounce this artist's name, if it's like Verege or something, but he or she did a number of variants for Transformers during the IDW era, and they all have this kind of color scheme to them. They're really super cool looking. I want to say they did some that were like travel style posters for Cybertron and things like that. They were pricier variants, so you didn't get those for cover price, but love that I was able to get that variant cover. But then on top of that, I love the creative team on this. John Barber did the writing, and then the art, especially, I love. It's by Livio Ramondelli. And if you've been watching my channel, you know I've mentioned his name before. He has just a great painted style that works really well for the Cybertronian character forms, and he does a great job on this story, in addition to so many other things that he drew for the Transformers title during the IDW era. And he does the pencils on all of these. So super, super happy to find a copy of that for all of those reasons that I just listed. And yeah, I hope you'll get an idea that this is exactly the kind of thing I was hoping to find during this dollar sale. Next up, I got 2 issues from X-Men Volume 2. There's issues 7 and issue 9. This allowed me to complete this entire volume. I want to say this Volume 2 ran for 41 issues. The way that titling and the numberings worked, you had X-Men Volume 1, which started in 1991 with Jim Lee. That ran for 207 issues. Then the numbering continued, but the title changed to X-Men Legacy, and then it continued as X-Men Legacy up until issue 275. At that point, both the title and the numbering concluded, and then when the new X-Men title relaunched with a new number 1, that was this Volume 2. I have been missing these couple issues for a long time now, and I've passed over them number of times in the past, primarily because there are Chris Bachalo variants of these issues, as well as issue 8 and issue 10, that I would love to find. Those are the ones I really want to have. I don't know if I'm ever going to find them, and I haven't found one yet. So when I found these final 2 issues, I don't see them very often, I'll say. So it's not like I've passed over them again and again. But when I saw them this time, I decided, you know what, even though it's just a standard cover, I'm going to go ahead and get them. So now I can complete this entire volume, and then I can not be in any rush and just keep my eye out if I ever find the Chris Bachalo variants. And it's not like I totally compromised, because it's not just the variant covers that are done by Chris Bachalo. He is actually doing the interior pencils at this time as well. And I just really like his art style. And sometimes the colors get real muted and makes it uh, either difficult to see what's going on in the panel, or I think sometimes you lose some of the punch when you're missing the colors. But the way this is colored, I really like. I like some of the bolder colors coming out. You can see, for example, on Colossus, mixed in with some of the more muted, like just the purple, grays, and blacks there. But I really like his art style. And so really happy that with getting these issues, I not only get to complete the volume, but I still get Chris Bachalo interior art, even though I'm still waiting to find his variant covers. So really happy, again, that I could complete this story, this series, and get great Chris Bachalo art in the process. Here's a Bronze Age title that I recently, by recently I mean in the last year and a half, decided to work on. And it's because I found a copy of #1 at a dollar sale. And knowing that there's not too many keys in this volume, and finding #1 for $1, that was enough for me to say, you know what, I like the fantasy genre, the art looks kind of cool, and it might just be a fun thing to try and collect. And so I've been working on trying to piece this together in the dollar bins when I can find them. You don't often see these in the dollar bins, and so when I found a few more issues at the sale, I was really happy to make this progress. This is issue number 22. The sticker's blocking the issue number there. And then here's issue 23. And then I did find the other bookend issue to the series, issue number 28. So I have #1, I have number 28, and I have a smattering of issues throughout this volume. So I will continue to chip away at this. There are a couple other keys that come up in this volume. One is number 11, which is the origin of, I'm not sure how to pronounce her name. I want to say it's Deja Thoris, but it's got a really great cover with her on that, and I think that is primarily what makes that a key and a little bit more valuable. I did find that at a garage sale earlier in 2024, and then issue number 18, I believe it is actually the first interior pencil work by Frank Miller at Marvel, and so you could imagine that's a spendier book. I did find that for cheap. I want to say I actually got it for like 50 cents at Pulp Comics during one of their sales. It is a rather beat up copy, but at least I have it. And who knows, maybe I'll get really lucky and find an upgraded copy of that someday in the dollar bins, but for now I have it. So I have all the kind of the big keys from this volume, and now I can just continue to chip away at the rest of it and complete this run. And then I think there's like 3 annuals I need to finish out as well. But happy to make that progress at this sale. I got one issue from Marvel's Greatest Comics reprint magazine. This reprints a number of Fantastic Four stories from Volume 1, primarily from the Silver Age. This is issue number 96, and it's the last issue in the volume. The first, I'm going to blank now and forget what the titles were, but I want to say it's the first 22 issues of this volume were actually a different title called Marvel Collector's Item Classics. And then with issue 23, that's when it was retitled into Marvel's Greatest Comics. And then it just continued to reprint Fantastic Four stories all the way here to issue 96. Just a fun thing to be hunting for. And you've heard me say this before if you've been watching my videos. I love to find those bookends, and now I can just fill in everything in between. This was an accidental duplicate buy for me. I showed you a copy of Giant Size Fantastic Four #2 in an earlier video not too long ago, maybe just a 2, 3 months ago, where I found that during, I want to say, a garage sale. But I did mistakenly buy it again. I was looking in my CLZ app and my wish list and what I needed, and I guess I just kind of got flip-flopped in looking at those things, and so I rebought it. But this is a great example of the savings to be had at this sale. You can see they were originally selling this for $12. I would never spend $12 on, well, I shouldn't say never. I would almost never spend $12 on an individual comic book. But when it's just marked down to $1, definitely going to grab that. And because I only spent $1, it's really no big deal that it's a duplicate. I will now compare this to my existing copy to see which one's the better condition copy, and I'll keep that one, and then I'll let the other one go. But there's Giant Size Fantastic Four number 2. Here's another reprint series that I'm working on. This one's called Marvel Spectacular. Full title, as you can see, is The Mighty Thor, starring in Marvel Spectacular. This reprints a variety of Silver Age Thor stories, so a lot of Stan Lee and Jack Kirby things. And I've got a handful of the issues so far, but something I keep my eyes peeled for, and whenever I can find them cheap and in relatively decent condition, I will pick them up. You can see this one has a price tag of $7 on it, and of course I got it for $1. But what's great about this is that it's in such nice condition. I mean, it's really good condition. Normally, if I find these in the dollar bins, they're not this high grade. But you got a nice Silver Age reprint of a Thor story in these Marvel Spectaculars. I don't expect that I'll ever really own these original issues in single issue format. Maybe I'll get the omnibus someday, but other than that, I'm really happy to pick these up in the form of these reprints. So picked up issue number 2, and then they also had issue number 4. So 2 nice low number issues for that Thor reprint series. This was an unexpected, pleasant surprise to find in their back issue bins. This is the Kill Lock. This is an IDW series, ran for 6 issues, and then had a follow-up 6-issue limited series called The Kill Lock, The Artisan Wraith. And it's independent of any other title or series, things like that. It's just its own thing. But what drew me to this is the creator on this. You heard me mention before, Livio Ramondelli. He both writes and paints this series and the follow-up series. It features not Cybertronian, but other robotic life forms, and it's a story just contained about them. And I thought his style equally works for this genre, because it's really the same genre. It's just non-transformer robots. And he did this entire 6-part series. I have found so far only issue number 1 in a dollar bin at some point in the past. Never saw issues 2 through 6 in the wild at all, but at the sale they had several more. Didn't quite complete this, but the painting looks great, the colors look great, and like I said, I think his style lends itself really well to this. But there's issue number 2. So I have number 1 already. There's 2, 3, 4. Could be totally a Transformers cover. And then 5. Obviously, I'm really bummed that they didn't have number 6, just because of how infrequently I ever see these. So I don't know if I'll ever come across issue 6. But the same could have been said of these issues here. I never knew if I'd find any of the others besides number 1. So now I'm all but 1 issue away there from completing this, and I have found the Artisan Wraith follow-up series, all 6 issues, in the dollar bins at some point in the past as well. So it's really just that 1 issue I need. So given my luck so far, I am going to hold out hope and say, you know what? The day will come when I'll be able to get issue 6 and have the entire story. But super excited to find that kind of progress at just $1 a piece. I found a couple issues from this first volume of What If that I wanted. I don't always get every issue from every series that I'm collecting. Sometimes I pick and choose. Maybe it's because there's a lot of things I want, so instead of buying everything for a certain title, I go with the next few issues in order that I want, or maybe I try to fill in specific holes. In this case, What If is not a title that I'm collecting in its entirety. I just like to look for individual stories that jump out at me, either because the question that they pose on the cover is interesting, or I like the characters involved, or the creative team. In this case, I've seen this book before, but I've never read it. This is What If the original Marvel bullpen had become the Fantastic Four. And so I thought that would just be a really cool little, just a twist on the Fantastic Four and fun addition to my collection. And I didn't look this up ahead of time, so I don't know who everybody is. Obviously, that's Stan Lee there as Mr. Fantastic with the cigar in his mouth. That's got to be Jack Kirby as the Thing. Both of these others, I'm sure, are famous as well, but I admittedly don't know who they are offhand. Let's see. Maybe it'll tell us inside, and we can resolve that right now. If not, I'm sure one of you know who all of these creators are and can tell us in the comments. Let's see here. All right, Jack Kirby was working on it. Oh, here we go. Here we go. So Mr. Fantastic is actually editor Stan Lee. Saul Brodsky, Marvel VP and Stan's second, is Human Torch. And then Jack Kirby, yep, there as the Thing. And then Invisible Girl is actually Marvel Comics secretary Flo Steinberg. So there you go. Glad they laid that out for us. So now, if you didn't know, like I didn't know, now we all know together. So just a cool What If issue to grab, like I said, because it plays on the real world and pulls them into the Marvel Comics world. And then the second one I got is issue number 27. What if Phoenix had not died? And I love the X-Men, and so I will likely pick up any of these What If stories that feature X-Men related characters. I don't know if this has been reprinted anywhere. I'm sure it must have. It's not in any of the omnibus editions that I own. There is a similar type of story, which is Phoenix the Untold Story, and that was the original proposal where Phoenix doesn't die, where Jean Grey doesn't die. She's actually alive at the end of that, and there's a different splash page proposed for the next issue, which would have been 138 of Uncanny X-Men. So I'm not sure where this fits or how this connects to that story, but it'll be interesting to read both of those kind of side by side to see those two different takes on the Phoenix not dying. So 2 issues from What If that were just fun little pickups. This was a cool thing to find. This is Marvel Vision, the Marvel Fan Magazine. I have shown you, I want to say like 4 issues from this magazine run that went like 30 issues or so that I just accidentally stumbled across at different dollar sales in the past several months. I got the ones I have just because I thought the covers were cool or they featured artists that I like. And now that I found 4, I would love to be able to complete the whole volume. They did have more than just this number 1, but this was a case where I left the others behind. I said, I'm just going to go with number 1 because there's a lot of books I want to get at this sale, and I didn't want to, just get a bunch of these because they're not super significant to me. I just think they're kind of cool. So I'll be patient, and maybe there'll be another sale down the road where I could pick those up for cheap. But I settled for number 1, which came out in January of 1996, and I wonder if this was kind of a follow-on to the Marvel Age series. I'd have to check to see exactly when Marvel Age ended and when this one started and see how much of a gap was in between. But it seems like it fills a similar kind of a role to what Marvel Age did before it. And this one, as you can see on the cover here, features a bit on the Marvel Comics versus DC, which just recently got an omnibus treatment. So getting number 1 of that is a nice little anchor to get, and now I'll try to fill in the others. But I'm going to be patient. I'm not just going to get them all at once. I'll get them as I can find them for cheap and things like that. So this book is an upgrade for me. This was one of the many tie-in series to the 2015 Secret Wars event. Really liked that event a lot, and I liked a lot of the tie-in series. The Marvel Zombies I liked just because I like zombie stories. I found all 4 issues of this limited series a while back, really cheap. So this is not an expensive book. This probably could be a dollar book, but I don't see it very often. And I did get a copy of number 2 on a previous sale some time ago, but when I opened it after getting it home, it was not in great condition. It was kind of like ripped on the back and things like that. And I really didn't feel I needed to settle for that. And so I added it back to my wish list, looking for an upgrade copy at some point. And I finally found it in a dollar bin again, and was happy to now complete that story. So now I can give the whole thing a read. I didn't read it when I first got it, but now I'm looking forward to reading this. And just a side note, the Secret Wars is getting a reprint. Nope. Well, I guess in some ways it's a reprint. Secret Wars is coming out in oversized format again. Early part of 2025, it's getting the omnibus treatment. I think the first time it was printed, it was just an oversized hardcover, question mark. I don't know for sure because I wasn't really collecting oversized hardcovers or omnibus editions at that time. But this time around, because it is an omnibus and it's one of my favorite events, I'm going to get it in the omnibus format. And they're also going to be doing a series, hopefully it'll wind up being a series of companion omnibus editions collecting all of the tie-in series. And I think I'm going to go ahead and get the first one that's going to come out, like I said, early part of 2025 as well, and try to have those in that oversized format, because that's one of the ways I'm trying to get the omnibus editions is for my favorite stories. And that's definitely a milestone in my comic book collecting history. So gonna get the event itself and get these tie-ins. But for now, really happy to have this limited series completed again from the dollar bins. This was a happy find, not an expensive book, but again, for the lack of times that I ever see it, and in this case, I've never seen it before, so it was a great find for me to get for $1. Not too long ago, I showed you the number 1 issue from this 2-part limited series that I didn't know that existed when I found it, but I got it for cheap, and I love the Silver Surfer. Really happy to find that. It was only after opening it that I realized it was part 1 of 2, and so I was left with that feeling, oh man, am I ever going to find part 2? Well, look at that. There it was at this sale. Go ahead and open this up so you can kind of see the artwork a little bit, if I can get the bag open. This is called Loftier Than Mortals. It features Dr. Doom. I mean, you got Dr. Doom riding the Silver Surfer's surfboard, and it's all like barbed wired out. I don't know what's going on there, but I guess he must have gotten the power cosmic or something. But now that I have part 2, I can find out for sure what's going on here. So really, really happy when I can complete a story or a series or a run that I just never thought I'd be able to complete because I just never see the books. But really, really fun to be able to find that, and now looking forward to giving that full story a read. So excited to get that one. Bronze Age books for $1. Yes, please, and thank you. Ms. Marvel is a character that I'm working on getting, not her full library of comics, but definitely want to get this full first volume that ran for only 23 issues. I've found several, believe it or not, in dollar bins in the past several months and over the last couple of years, including that number 23, the final issue. And now I'm just keeping my eyes open for any time I can build out more of her first series inexpensively. And thankfully, because of a sale like this, which has all of their non-wall back issues for just $1 a piece, that's a great opportunity to fill in a series like this. And I got a few issues, I want to say, including this number 10. This was the lowest issue that they had that I needed, and that was originally being sold for $6. Then there's number 12, also being sold for $6, and got it for $1. And then there's number 13, would have been a $5 book normally. And so to get 3 lower number issues in this volume for $1 a piece, super happy to make that kind of progress. And yeah, I'll just keep chipping away at this, and maybe someday I'll have the whole thing, and then we'll decide, will I pay up for a copy of number 1 at some point? We'll see. And now we're going to keep with Ms. Marvel, but this is volume 2 of her solo title. And this was an example where they had several issues from this volume, but I only chose to get a few. And it's because I just have to pick and choose. I couldn't buy everything I wanted to buy. And so I had to content myself with just a few issues that had some kind of significance. Either the condition was the best, or the gap filler that they represented was the best, or the cover was cool, things like that. So I chose number 4. This was the lowest number in the volume that I was missing up to this point. And then I also got number 27, white cover. It's in good shape though, and just a cool cover. I obviously is one I needed, but I don't know if it fills a significant hole or anything like that. And then issue 49. This is the penultimate issue in this volume. It went for 50 issues. Cool cover, and it's the highest number issue in the series that I have now. Still missing number 50, but getting close there. And if I can, again, get those bookends and fill it in, I will continue to do so. But happy to make 3 issues of progress towards this Ms. Marvel Volume 2. And then there's just one more book I'm going to show you today. But first, I'm going to show you a little bit of footage, and then I'm going to come back and show you the book. Check this out. All right, we're back, and if you spotted the book that I was highlighting in that clip, and you've seen my earlier videos, you'll know why I showed that. That is Ms. Marvel Storyteller. I showed you this book not too long ago, and I picked it up in kind of beat up shape, lots of spine ticks and things like that. Not normally the kind of condition that I'd want for a more modern book like this, but I bought it for $2. And that's because I had never seen this issue before. It's a one-shot. It's kind of connected in the time frame of that Ms. Marvel Volume 2, but I bought that at a half-price books, like I said, because I'd never seen it before. I really like Ms. Marvel. Didn't know if I'd ever find it again, so I was willing to buy it for $2, even though it wasn't in the best shape. Well, when I saw this at the sale for just $1 and in much better condition, I had to buy it, if for no other reason than to show all of you. But it does also represent an upgrade copy for me, and it serves as an example to not only myself, but hopefully to all of you that keep hunting, because you just never know what you're going to stumble across in the wild. And don't get too discouraged if you don't love the condition of a book at a higher price. If you don't want to pay that, then don't pay it, because you just might find it at some point down the road. But at the same time, if you want to pull the trigger and get that book in that condition for that price, then do so with a clear conscience, but know that the day may come where you find it in the same or better condition at the same or even better price. So just to show you, there's always things you're going to find, and never say never in the world of comic book collecting. So I had to get that, and I had to laugh. As soon as I saw that, I was like, I got to get some footage of this, and I got to show folks on YouTube that that book is there again, and now it's at half the price of the original one. But with that, I'm going to wrap up this portion of the haul. Don't worry, there are plenty more books right over there that I can show you, but we'll save those for a future haul video. All right, that's going to do it for me, and that's going to do it for this part of my haul from the Hot Comics and Collectibles Thanksgiving Day weekend sale. I do hope you saw something that you liked, and if you did, go ahead and give the video a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, dollar hauls, 50-cent hauls, or the rest of the haul from this amazing sale, then hit that subscribe and ring the bell for notifications so you'll know the next time I upload a video. Now, if you're not quite ready for the YouTube fun to stop, I have hand-selected a couple videos here for you to check out. As always, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.